According to the War Thunder Wiki, the Object 292 was amongst one of the most ambitious attempts during the final days of the Soviet Union to create a next-generation tank cannon testbed. The Kirov Plant and Mobile Vehicle Engineering Institute planned to introduce a high-caliber smoothbore cannon to enable Soviet MBTs to be able to disable the NATO equivalents at a longer possible distance. This meant that choosing a caliber of 152mm instead of a conventional 125 or a slightly larger 130mm, which were still common calibers in the Warsaw Pact countries, and mounting it on a hybrid between a T-80BV and a T-80U turret. Due to a severe lack of funding as the Soviet Union was struggling with financial debt, although the cannon proved effective during the field test, the prototype was eventually shelved. However, the experiences learned during the program would be further iterated on the future MBT prototypes. The Western side also had some interesting high-caliber projects as well, such as the Leopard and the Abrams, but by that time the Cold War was already over and the majority of the projects got cancelled. This was the general history of the Object 292.
Father, I'm riding while the streets are hushed. Names like whispers, the air feels crushed. Something heavy lingers. History holds its breath. I see the path you walked. I see the edge of death. I rise against your own bloodline. Why clutch the sword of faith, cross the line? Chasing hollow promises that don't believe. Tomorrow you said, as the walls close and deceive.
Welcome to the Armor and Modular Protection Analysis, where we basically analyze the armors and modules inside of a vehicle. Today's vehicle is the Object 292 main battle tank. Now the first thing we need to take a look at is the crew. This tank only has 3 crew members. The first one is the commander, situated at the right side of the turret, then the gunner on the left side of the commander, and finally the driver, situated at the front center of the tank. The crew has commander and gunner optics for the tank, with relatively solid optical systems, night visions, engine smoke systems or ESS, commander override, a solid piece of autoloader system with ammo rack blowout panels for the ammos in the turret, and finally a dozer blade with very nice flexibility, and finally commander optics. Unfortunately, this vehicle does not have a machine gun, neither smoke grenades or thermal equipment. The best thing it has is the ESS and night vision system, which at this battle rating can only fool yourself or those people that have no thermals. This can heavily influence your gameplay, which I will talk about it later. This tank has 6 fuel tanks, situated at the left and right side of the driver, with 1 behind and 2 in front of the engine bay, with these fuel presets. I don't think it has any fit. Anyway, I have to say, the amount of fuel tanks you got is quite phenomenal, and you don't have to die from the burn down of your tank, right? And then you have the engine and transmission system of the tank, with relatively nice numbers and incredible reverse speed. I have to say, the reverse speed is just a breath of fresh air for your average T-72 player. Seriously, the reverse gear is so good that it also made the dozer blade experience a lot better as well. And you might have asked, how much is the reverse gear? Well, you get 12 kilometers. Laugh at all you like, NATO players, this is probably one of the best that the Russians get at this tier, or at least that's how I feel like it, because the Panzer can't reverse for shit. And then you have the ammunition stowage, with 14 on the back of the tank, 16 in the turret compartment, and 30 shells on the center of the tank. The ammo does what ammo does best: explode when hit. The ammo rack on the back of the turret, however, has some protection for the crew. If you get shot in the back of the turret, the blast doors will be activated and prevents the crew from becoming a natural IED in one of those microwave videos. But we will have a look at the cannon and the ammo types a little bit further into this video. At the end, you have the cannon breech and the cannon itself, the turret rotation and gun elevation mechanism, the electronic and the radio systems, and finally the optical systems. Alright, now let's just address the elephant in the room. the armor. I have to say, the armor on this thing sometimes feel absolutely incredible. And yes, the armor profile might be a little bit old, at least comparing to something that Gaijin has made recently, but overall it's a solid tank that has decent protection. If you want to penetrate this vehicle frontally, you would most likely need around 500mm of penetration. However, if you're a bit more accurate, you can damage the tank quite well. Of course, the lower plate is always an option, but let's be fair, it's a bit of a gamble. So I would personally usually go for these two weak spots: the driver's hatch and the armors around it, or even the gun itself. Seriously, you do not want this thing to fire at you because, honestly, it terrifies me every time I see this thing in front of me. The turret armor is nice despite not having any kind of ERA on it. With the exception of the driver's hatch, frontally this vehicle also has plenty of composite armor on the inside. It is so powerful that in some extreme angles it becomes one of the best armor profiles of all time. Angling your vehicle like this makes you extremely powerful. You just forgot about one thing: your f***ing side. The side armor and the rear armor are nothing special, just your usual MBT stuff. There is, however, one weakness that is universal amongst the Russian MBTs, and that is the bar below the side armor. Oh, and I almost forgot. Outside of these 6 cheese blocks on your turret, you essentially have no ERA or heat shield protection on this vehicle at all, unless you want to count the side flaps or internal composite armor, meaning that something as simplified as a non-tandem charged tow missile can go through you, so long as it has the proper penetration values. Speaking of heat shield protection, let's see what this thing does against the heat shield from a Leopard. Fair enough. Now let's have a look at the one and only weapon on this tank, the 152mm behemoth installed on the turret, with 30 ammo scattered around the vehicle. As I said, the cannon is incredibly powerful. To this day, it has one of the most powerful rounds a tank ever carried. The sound effect itself vibrates my headsets every time I fire. The only thing it needs is just an even more dramatic sound effect that makes me blow my load all over in less than a millisecond. Alright, now let's have a look at the rounds. The first one being the 152mm APFSDS, with unholy amounts of penetration and terrifying velocity. This APFSDS is such a powerful one that so far I managed to penetrate the turret cheeks of the Leopard 2A4s and the M1 Abrams. Every time you hit a place on a tank, it feels like a laser beam going through the enemy. Seriously, the post-penetration is also incredible as well. A well-landed shot can easily one-shot a vehicle. This round is so powerful that if you're actually handy with a tank, and you're also familiar with top-tier armors, you can easily go ahead and give yourself an extra challenge. Albeit not easy to play, but it's still quite fun and enjoyable, considering the fact that this thing is a 10-7 tank. Normally, tanks at this BR wish that they were this powerful. Can you please get the f*** out of my face? Anyways, the second round is a 152mm high explosive round. The statistics of these rounds are most likely classified, as the names themselves are just way too simplified for a channel standard. So for the sake of simplicity, I will name this shell the DM69, and this one will be the "Please subscribe to my channel" shell. Thank you. I appreciate it. The "Please subscribe to my channel" shell is the type of ammo that is quite fun to work around with, and will eventually showcase how much skill you got under your belt. Because overpressuring main battle tanks can be easy, but if you don't know where you're hitting, sometimes it can be very awkward, considering the fact that this thing has a longer than average reload. Oh, also, you don't have a proxy fuse on this thing. Speaking of things getting a bit too awkward, this thing has nothing to supplement the cannon with. No machine guns, no smoke grenade launchers, no secondary cannon. Nothing. The T-72 Terms also doesn't have a secondary cannon, but at least it has multiple heavy machine guns that can either ping the enemy on the map, or it can immobilize their track. Pinging the enemy is incredibly useful, as this thing has no method of seeing through smoke grenades or ESS. So if you are using ESS as your makeshift smoke grenades, trust me, you're only blinding yourself, as an enemy with thermals can easily through the smoke. Anyways, where were we? Oh yeah. Outside of that, it is a very powerful HE shell, and if you know how to destroy tanks with it, it does the job really well. I would personally recommend to pick up 15 to 17 ammo at max, with 4 "Please subscribe to my channel" shells, and with the rest being the DM69. You can also change your loadout depending on if you would like to use the high explosive more. This is just my personal preset. Anyways, let's have a look at the flight performance. When it comes to this vehicle's mobility, it feels very handy and nice. Compared to the other Russian MBTs, it's nothing special, but the reverse gear is definitely a positive point to it. Outside of the stabilization ring, your turret traverse is very nice, and the gun elevation speed is serviceable at best. Please note that as of writing this script, I do not have any kind of access to War Thunder due to the recent protests in Iran, so take this with a pinch of salt until I update this thing once I got access to the internet.
Post editing Bob Dickinson here. I barely connected to the internet and I've already updated the script. Literally, the game barely f***ing loads. Oh my god, are you f***ing kidding?
Your whole traverse speed does not focus on the center of your chassis, and its traverse speed is relatively nice. When your vehicle is stock, it is going to be a little bit miserable for you to turn. If you want to turn faster than your stock configuration, accelerate your tank a little bit forward or backwards, then start turning left or right depending on where you want to go. Anyways, let's have a look at the ground realistic. When it comes to ground realistic, this vehicle is still very good for what it is. Sure, you may not have some basic features that other tanks have, but overall, if you're a little bit experienced, you can easily make this thing work. One weakness that is quite obvious is that against ATGMs, this vehicle does not react well at all. And we all know the reason why. You're at a BR where you most likely won't see firing for your helicopter ATGMs, but if you did, you're most likely f***ed, as you do not have any smoke grenades or any kind of active protection system. Same thing also goes with ground-launched fire and forget ATGMs like spikes. Sure, you can fool a bunch of TV-guided munitions like Walleyes or early Mavericks with your ESS, but the fact that you do not have a machine gun is still pissing me off. If you get into lower tiers, please remember positioning your armor in different situations can be crucial at times. If you get into higher tiers, always make sure to land your shots accurately and in time. And even if you didn't fire that accurately, you can still cripple the player in front of you. But it's the best to have a mix of reaction time and accuracy. Waiting for another reload can be very risky when the enemy has the ability to fire. Oh, and guess what? Something as simple as killing external crews is something that you really cannot do well. But hey, that's what the high explosive is for, so use that one, I guess. Either way, similar thing also applies to the arcade battles as well. Thankfully, you don't have to grind the APFSDS as a stock vehicle. Using backups in this can be nice, and I would personally recommend it if you know what to do with this thing. The vehicles at 10.7 that are compatible with this tank are: insert your average stereotypical Russian vehicle. This one is you but worse. Yet your worst variant is still amazing. This thing is criminally underrated. Gaijin, I appreciate it. You finally heard our feedback after tons of Russian bias. By the way, Russian bias? Oh look, Russian BS. This is the calm before and after the storm. Somehow the calm is still the chaos. Oh yeah, and this is the apocalypse. Yeah, this thing exists as well. This is the only T-72 I tolerate, mainly because this is the only T-72 I have. This was the Terminator before Terminator was a thing. This was never a Terminator, but it is one in my heart. Never mind, the f***ing BMP-2M cheated on me with a T-72. Right, let's have a look at the jelly choppers. Oh man, remember the time when I was uploading a video on this thing and Gaijin literally 15 minutes before I uploaded this thing just released 2 more helicopters like this? It's quite fine for what it is. I just hate the Mickey Mouse face in the front. Right, helicopters are done. Let's have a look at the planes. This is the greatest 10-7 jet fighter of all time. F***ing fight me for it. MiG-21 BIS never disappoints, unless you don't read the room. Or Battlefield for that matter. Now let's just simply gloss over this vehicle on purpose. I don't know if this counts, but if it does, this is one of my favorite Soviet planes. I just like the German variant more because bigger number equals better. Back in the good old days, this entire folder used to terrify the ground players. Now all it does is to just satisfy my obsession with MiG-23s. Oh my f***ing god, why is that every single f***ing place I go, I see your goddamn face? Yes, I'm making a video on this thing. Yes, I'm making a video on Eurocopters. And yes, I'm making 2 videos on the IL-2. Just be a bit more patient. I'm literally in the middle of a f***ing war zone, bro. For f***'s sake. Outside of that, your lineups are quite filled up, and you have plenty of choices to supplement your object too. Now let's get on with the final verdict. At the end, ladies and gentlemen, is this vehicle actually worth it? I'm gonna be honest with you, it is a very unique and fun vehicle to have. But currently, as of now, the price of this vehicle is, insert the price here, and I have to say if it's more than 90 to 120 bucks, I wouldn't personally recommend it. If you want to buy it, or if you want to keep the coupon, or if you're desperate, I guess, yeah. I don't know that much about marketplace and such, but personally I own this vehicle via the event because buying this thing in my country right now is the equivalent of this much, which 10 years ago would have given you this. Make that what you will. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm tired, man. I'm tired, boss, I'm tired. Outside of that, ladies and gentlemen, this vehicle is quite amazing and incredibly fun. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to like and subscribe, dislike it if you dislike it, or if you want to support my channel even further, you can also donate to Super Thanks or join my YouTube membership if you want to. For now, this is me, Bob Dickinson, and thank you for watching. God, updating the script is gonna be a fucking pain in the ass.